In today's show, we saw a lot of what the Trailblazers might look like when these things are for real. Let's talk about their third preseason game against the Warriors. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, we'll talk about the Blazers' third preseason game, a loss to the Warriors. I think we learned a lot in this game, quite frankly. I think we saw some sort of more development of what the offense, they hope that the offense will look like. I think there was some nice Donovan Clingan moments, some good balanced scoring. And we also learned a little bit about what the rotation could be and how Chauncey Billups may deploy this roster in the regular season. Yeah, this was as close to the real deal as we have seen in the preseason. We will get into all of that. As just sort of a caveat here, I'm not going to go too deep into the box score stuff because I do think the most important parts of preseason are structural. It's the how, how they did it as opposed to what they actually did. So if you're looking for your fastest recap in the West, those will return in the regular season. Let's during the preseason, I'm going to avoid the box score as much as possible. Blazers played this game without Toumani Camara, so they started Drew Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, Denny Avdia, Jeremy Grant, and Donovan Clingan. No Toumani, still no Tease or Rob Williams in preseason. No Toumani stinks because he's such a fun player and he unlocks so much of what they might want to do. And he also is good enough that he adds to the complication of who's going to play and when. And the complication of who's going to play and when is fascinating. Obviously, no Scoot still in this game. Warriors playing without some of their dudes as well. No Draymond Green, no Jimmy Butler. But Steph Curry's in there, Al Horford's in there. They had Pods, they had Jonathan Kuminga until he got ejected in the end of the first half. So the Warriors played 3 1/3 quarters with their guys, and the Blazers played into the fourth quarter till about the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter with their guys. This was close to a real game. Maybe 3 1/3, 3.5 quarters of truly real basketball. Albeit the Warriors, as just an obvious caveat, they're just totally different without their guys. They're missing 2 of the best connective pieces in the league on both sides of the floor. Obviously, they're different. But Steph Curry still looked a lot like Steph Curry. More on that in a moment. What did we learn from this game? That's kind of the focus in today's program. Well, we learned maybe something about how the roster will be deployed with some small ball stuff and where the sort of 10-man rotation cutoff appears to be. I think we've absolutely learned that. But we also just saw guys play a little bit more in this game, so you get to sort of see how it all is going to work. I thought this was Donovan Clingan's best offensive game, best offensive start, certainly the first half, and he had a solid overall game. I don't think this was a dominant defensive game, but he was not noticeably deficient on that, and maybe he just didn't block shots, and they gave up some long rebounds, but that's a team thing as much as it is a center thing. Although Clingan will be charged with sort of being an anchor of the Blazers' defensive rebounding, but on offense, Clingan had really struggled in the first preseason games. He's gonna struggle on offense. Period. He's not a very good offensive player right now. But figuring out how to be a contributor, just converting putbacks, being really big and rolling to the rim and getting easy ones because you can get behind the defense a little bit. That's important. And in this, he had his moments. He caught my favorite play from him is he sees a guard driving baseline and kind of not going up all the way, but on the side of the paint and looking for a little bit of help. And he just flashes middle. He flashes right from, basically the elbow to the middle of the paint, runs right to the rim, catches it, dunks through traffic. he hit a 3-pointer, and it was sort of an off the dribble 3-pointer. He was kind of like running a dribble handoff, and he faked the pass, right? He did the little Olay on the dribble handoff, but his man dropped way deep into the paint, and he stepped into a 3 and hit it. Like, I think the way they score that is a pull-up 3. It's certainly a 3-pointer off the dribble to some extent, but, he stops, catches himself, and like, has a moment to fire because he's wide open, unguarded, but he splashed it. That's a big one. He had, I thought he was really good on the offensive glass. I do think the offensive glass numbers in the box score that I'm now avoiding, they probably overstate his overall offensive rebounds because he rebounds some of his own misses. Once he missed a tip-in and converted. Once he missed 2 tip-ins. He rebounded a free throw, missed the putback, and then got his own board off his own miss. It's like, if he makes the first one, it's only 1 offensive rebound, but he missed it, so he gets the second one. It's like dominant on the glass. Like the box score kind of lies there a little bit. But I thought he did a good job punishing the Warriors on the glass, just like being gigantic. He's all of 7'2", 280, maybe 7. They announced him as 7'3" in the arena. 7'3", 280. Like he's big, right? He talked about after the game how he lost some weight but added some muscle, and that's like he feels like he's moving around a lot better. Because Klingon is so important to what they're going to do. Like he's just going to need to be able to play a significant amount and like be the anchor of the good defensive team. Like he's crucial. Figuring out where he scores on offense is really, really important for him. And I don't think this was like this monster breakout game, but I think this was solid and something you want to build on. And he hadn't had these moments that you want to build on, and so that was crucial. A nice little DC game. I thought the Blazers had in general good offensive balance. Their 2 best offensive players, Denny Avdia and Shaedon Sharpe, played pretty well, all things considered. Denny was like, they both the things that both of them sort of struggled with in this game. Like, Denny turned the ball over too much, and sometimes just driving into a crowd and getting stripped. Sometimes like his handle getting a little bit loose and getting him so he's like in a less advantageous position because he doesn't get his handle. But like I thought Denny played well. He gets downhill. He's such a battering ram. He went left a bunch in this game. He's actually gone left and finished left better in the preseason than he probably has all of last year. He talked about working on that. I thought in Eurobasket he went left and stayed with his right hand a bunch. In the preseason, we've seen him go left, finish left. And that's important because if you finish with your outside hand going left, you're just much harder to block shots, much harder to have your shot blocked, And like in general, it adds, having that dexterity allows you more options around the rim because you can, you don't have to get back to your right hand or like, finish on those near side moves with your right hand. That's big for Denny. Yeah, I thought he was good, but he turned the ball over a little bit, right? He just does what he does. If he does clean the turnovers, even when he was at his peak last year, were a problem. If he can stop turning the ball over a little bit more, like kind of clean that up a little bit. Denny's already going to be good, and he's going to be better with that. Shaedon Sharpe, it's like he just missed threes, and that's kind of been the thing with him, right? It's like he's a special scorer, but he shot 31% from 3, and I thought even outside of just the box score stuff, he missed some clean looks, like Shaedon Sharpe looking at the rim, very, very open looking 3 that he has time and space to shoot the ball, misses it, right? Some of that is just like the randomness of one game, but that's been a thing for him. And I thought other than that, Sharpe did a really good job early getting to, like, we're setting transition screens for him and getting to his, getting to his mid-range. I thought he did a really good job getting to the rim and finishing. He's a good finisher. Like I thought this was a good game. There was a lot of talk post-game about Shaedon Sharpe's defense. I believe Chauncey Billups was asked about it, and he said something, and then several other reporters asked when either in the locker room or at the podium, other folks about Shaedon Sharpe's improved defense. To my eyeballs, I'm not sure that Shaedon Sharpe had like a standout good defensive game. In fact, one of the things that made my notes was like really early in the game, he got beat for a backdoor cut. I think it was a bad switch as opposed to just himself, because I think Drew Holiday was trying to pass off Will Richard to him, and Shaedon Sharpe didn't understand that they were switching off ball, and Will Richard just like went behind him for an easy layup. So it was more miscommunication than like truly falling asleep, but communicating is part of defense. I think that Shaedon Sharpe was like something like neutral on defense in this game, but neutral is crucial for him. He's got the tools to be a totally competent defender. Like if he has if he buys into like the level of focus and effort it takes on that end, even the anticipation stuff that he's bad with will be easier to hide just because of how big and strong and athletic he is, right? Like you can just fake the funk with his frame a lot more than say like an Anfernee Simons who can like lock in and focus but might still get like bullied. Like that's just not going to happen with Sharp if he locks in and focuses. So I will say like that's to me, I don't think that this was a meaningful Shaedon Sharpe defensive improvement game, but certainly like just him like hitting the neutral levels is crucial for his development. I thought Denny was pretty good. I thought Shaedon Sharpe was pretty good. I thought DC was pretty good. You got that balance. There's a couple young Hansen moments. My favorite sequence for him is that they drove on him in a pick and roll, and he got his hands too low as he's backpedaling, and because his hands are low, a guard gets right into his body, draws a foul, and one. He's like, they're saying, hey, I believe it was Blake Wesley's like, hey, Hansen, like put your hands up. You got to backpedal with your hands up, like be big, don't get caught in the cookie jar type of thing. And Hansen, who like confidence has been such a big part of his game that we've seen in preseason, he comes down on the other end, pump fakes from the corner, drives and makes a scoop layup. And it's like, yeah, that's right. Respond immediately to a mistake with like an aggressive move. He hit a 3-pointer during this wild 5 3-pointer sequence. Caleb Love hits a 3. Quentin Post hits a 3. Young Hansen hits a 3. Steph Curry hits a 3. Caleb Love hits a 3. 5 consecutive baskets, all 3-pointers, just teams trading bombs in the third quarter. And then a really young Hansen had a really nice pass inside to Sidi Sissoko. He kind of caught it on the left wing, foul line extended. Starts to go into a little bit of like a post up, like from, 15, 16 feet. The defense kind of shades over because he's got a mismatch, like a smaller guy on him. He's probably not going to push a smaller guy in from 16 all the way to the rim. But, you see someone that big kind of going to the post. The defense shades over to help. And he kind of looks like he's going to go opposite wing and then finds Sidi Sissoko under the rim. Really nice pass. And just like really nice pass for someone his size. A lot of maybe guards make that pass with regularity, but the ability to mismatch, go post, dribble, make that pass off the move, see it, make the pass off the dribble. So what makes him special? Like he's a talented passer. It's hard to unlock some of his passing right now with the rest of his offensive package, but I think as his game grows there, he'll be better. I want to talk about I'll give Caleb Love a little shout out, and then I want to talk about the offensive structure because I think we saw a lot of that. It's like offensive, like how they want to play stuff on offense. I will do that in the second segment. Join me there. First, though, let's talk Monarch Money. Most folks can't even tell you all of their financial accounts, much less what they're worth. So whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments, whatever you've got, if you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money, the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, so you can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. Today's show is also brought to you by the good folks over there at Game Time. Basketball season is here, and there's nothing that beats being in the arena for those early games, or any basketball games, quite frankly. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues online or surprise fees at checkout or prices that jump right before you're ready to buy. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your favorite team. That's why there's Game Time, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. So they're going to get you last-minute deals. In fact, ticket prices almost always drop as you head closer to the start of the game on Game Time. Plus, they got zone deals. You pick a section, and then Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. And you can even find NBA tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA NBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right. So I talked about what we learned, and I mostly just told you like who played what, and I meant to get to what we learned, but that's sometimes how the show can happen because there was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. Real quickly before we get into the structural offense stuff, I thought Caleb Love had some moments where he made some shots, and it's like, okay, yeah, dude can hoop. You look at the box score in the end, it's like he has more field goal attempts than he has total points, and he has twice as many turnovers too as he has assists. This is kind of the Caleb Love experience. He has a really aesthetically pleasing game, but he can be a little bit inefficient. I just don't think he's a point guard. When he plays off the ball as a catch and shoot guy, he looks special. When he can catch and just get downhill and attack, when he can be in score mode, he's pretty useful. He's just not a point guard. Do they need a guy who can score? Yeah. So maybe there's a place where he sneaks in, but I don't think he's part of the rotation. He's a two-way guy, right? But I do think he had a totally nice night tonight. So offensive structure. One of the things, the Blazers have installed this new offense, and it can be hard to always say like, oh, this is so different, right? So I've been trying to pay attention to things that I think are like definitely new or like clearly an emphasis. And the emphasis is just like in general, it's playing fast. I do think the Blazers have done a good job of playing fast. I honestly think, and this is like maybe a little nitpicky, and I apologize for it, but like that's kind of the nature of the show. Like I think they could do a better job of hit ahead passes. The Pacers do a really good job of job of this. Tyrese Halliburton's probably the best in the league of just like getting it quickly, looking up court, and throwing ahead to an advantage, hitting it ahead. I thought the Warriors did a really good job, Steph in particular, a really good job of throwing some outlet passes ahead, just saying like, you know what, Jonathan Kuminga, go. You know what, Gary Payton, go. Like just kind of like throwing it out there to pods or whoever it might be and saying, hey, you push, and if you have an advantage, you can attack, and if you don't, you get the ultimate sort of like catch and run Steph Curry stuff that he's been doing so well, those hit aheads, and then Steph Curry trails in behind as the trail guy. It's really dangerous with the Warriors. The Blazers don't exactly have Steph Curry on the roster, but still I do think sometimes like, I think Shaedon Sharpe looks to push with the dribble. Obviously Denny looks to push with the dribble. It's what makes him so special. So I don't want Denny to do like none of that, right? You want players to do what they do best, and like Denny hitting turbo mode and getting downhill and like being so physical as a bulldozer is like important to what they do. But I think there are moments when they could just like hit ahead, see if you have an advantage, kind of probe a little bit. And they could play even faster than they're playing right now. So they do, I don't mean to say they're not playing with pace. I think they are. I think their pace is generally pretty good, but I think there's some spots where they could even be more aggressive in that area. And that's just like advancing the ball quickly, looking to advance the ball quickly as guys leak out. And maybe that's a comfort thing as they play more together that they'll get there. The other thing I've noticed, and Doug Christie mentioned this on Friday in his pregame availability, that the Blazers set a ton of ghost screens. And it's like, they really do. And not with bigs necessarily, but with smalls. And what a ghost screen is like, you run up to the ball like basically like a full sprint, like you're gonna come and set this good hard screen, but you don't. So you just kind of touch the back of the defender, the on-ball defender, or you just kind of like graze them as you go by. You don't set a screen. You kind of just end up sort of sprinting in their space. You kind of ghost the screen, so it's like a full speed slip, but you usually slip out wide. So it's like you would if you ghosting at the top of the key, you would kind of go out to the wing, and if you're ghosting it at the wing, you'd kind of stay at the corner, like you stay along the perimeter. It's kind of like a full speed cut to engage both defenders and make them make decisions. And it also can be like natural spacing, because as you ghost, guys like they clear out from the other side, and then all of a sudden like, okay, cool, now you've got this sort of like this empty side to work with, and all those things, right? The Blazers do it a ton. Watch them with the smalls, and by smalls I mean non-centers, because they'll do it with Denny, and they'll do it with Tumani, and they'll do it with Jeremy Grant. Is they set a ton of ghost screens at the top of the key, around, particularly above the break, around the arc. They're setting a ton of ghost screens. They're also setting some drag screens in transition more than they were in the first couple games. I think that's been an emphasis, that it's like, hey, they didn't run a ton of high pick and roll stuff in the first game, but I think that like since then it's been like, hey, if we get early, let's set a ball screen early. That's drag screens, transition screen. I think there's other names for it. I call it drag screen. That might be a Mike D'Antoni term. But it's like those early screens in transition to sort of so you just engage right away, basically, as you come across the timeline, so you can create an advantage. That's like the modern NBA is what you'll hear coaches talk about all the time, advantage basketball. You want to create an advantage, and then once you create that advantage, you want to keep the advantage, whether you do that by driving yourself to the rim or by causing guys to get into defensive rotations and then moving the ball, swing, all of sort of the natural modern NBA stuff. Space out, play fast, shoot threes, crash the glass, press. That's welcome to the Pacers land. Like the Blazers send more drag screens in transition. And then the other thing I've noticed, and I kind of asked Chauncey Billups this question after the game in a very clunky way, but he understood the question that I was asking better than I actually asked the question. But I've noticed that when the Blazers are sort of at their best, they're prioritizing some stuff to get Denny and Shaedon Sharpe catches on the move. So they're setting, I believe what the Blazers called from the bench. I sit pretty high up there in section 113, but I watch the bench and try to get the calls. I believe what Chauncey called twist. It seemed to be a variation of some stuff that maybe like the Clippers and the Celtics run occasionally, particularly a Ty Lue special. But basically it's an off-ball screen right away for a guy above the three-point line on the wing, basically at the hash mark, setting a screen for him to get middle off the ball, and then you throw it to him, catch it on the run. The Blazers do that for Denny Avdia moving to his right hand. So you get Denny a screen, have Donovan Clingan set an off-ball screen for Denny Avdia, get it on the move at like 24 feet, catching it on to his strong end, to his right hand. Like that's the best Denny, right? Like a live dribble going downhill. They did it with Shaedon Sharpe a couple times too, and they scored with it as well. Like getting those guys catches on the move. What the Blazers offense looks like at its best is when those guys catch it on the move. Create an advantage, keep the advantage. What it looks like at its worst is they come down space, look at each other and be like, supposed to play read and react basketball, but everyone's like, oh, well, we're just kind of spaced. Somebody shoot it. And that's what it looks like at their worst. I think that's kind of if you're going to play random, sometimes you're going to have some moments where it's like that is how it works. But, those are some structural things with the offense I've noticed. The other two things, I've noticed they're going to play small this year, and Sidi Sissoko has climbed up in the rotation. Let's talk about that to close the show. Join me there, won't you? First, though, let us talk about FanDuel. It is the NFL season along with the NBA season, and right now, FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss because new customers can bet just $5. You're going to get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right. This is very simple. Pick a bet you like. Put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. However you like to wager, parlays, player props, following games live, or, betting points, spreads, and money lines before things kick off. You're going to find it all on the FanDuel app. So, what are you waiting for? You're already watching the games. Why not add another layer to your viewing experience? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Today's program is also brought to you by the good folks over there at DUER Jeans. They are making the most comfortable jeans. If you see me out in the world, I'm probably rocking my relaxed taper DUER jeans in black. And I'm rocking them because I can do everything in them. I can go to work. I can go to a Blazer game in these jeans and look presentable, right? Because I am at work. Or I can just wear them chilling around the house or running errands. Because they are both comfortable and stylish. DUER combines the classic jeanswear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. DUER's got 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so they feel stretchy, these jeans that you're rocking, without looking stretchy, because DUER are the pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim, so it's time to upgrade to the world's most comfortable pants. Get your own DUER jeans today. I know you'll love those too. And DUER opening a new store right here in Portland on Northwest 23rd in October. Check them out. 820 Northwest 23rd Avenue. This is the new era of denim in Portland. You can mention my promo code LOCKEDONPortland in store to get 15% off your first order, or check them out online. Shop DUER.com/LockedOnPortland for 15% off. That's shop DUER.com/LockedOnPortland. All right. So a couple things I've noticed. I think, we're not going to learn everything, right, from preseason. Probably won't know the starting lineup until it really, really happens, right? Because of the nature of sort of injuries and the general mystique that Chauncey has coached with, and it's unclear whether Toumani Camara will be available for Thursday's game in Salt Lake City, not Oklahoma City, Salt Lake City against the Jazz to close out the exhibition season, and then the Blazers will have basically a week off before the regular season starts. So we might not know that, but we know who's going to play. We know, Chauncey looks like he's going to go 10 deep, and it's pretty clear who the 10 are. If they, assuming the health stays relatively the same and Toumani is healthy, you're going to get the guys that play tonight: Drew, Shea, Denny, Jeremy Grant, Donovan Clingan. You're going to get Young Hansen. You're going to get Blake Wesley. That's 7. You're going to get Chris Murray. That's 8. You're going to get Toumani Camara. That's 9. He'll be ahead of those guys. And then the 10th guy seems to pretty clearly be Sidi Sissoko. That's without Matisse Thybulle healthy, and he hasn't played yet, and it's hard to pencil him into playing on opening night based on how little he's been available in the preseason and how little he's reportedly done in practice. If the health stays as it is, Sidi Sissoko is going to have night one minutes for the Portland Trailblazers. I think that part is obvious. If you kind of just look at how they've treated him, he was the 10th man off the bench on Friday night against the Kings, and then tonight, without Toumani Camara in the lineup, he was the 9th guy off the bench. He's played first quarter minutes in both of these games, whereas Ryan Rupert has been relegated to fourth quarter only action. I kind of think Rupes, because of the shooting, should probably get a look at some point, because CD can't do that, but CD's so big, they want to be big. That makes sense. He's much more physical than Rupert. They want to be physical. You can see why the coach would make those choices. He has some passing stuff, but I don't think he has enough skill to really have the passing pop in an NBA game, and just how he scores remains just a bit of a mystery. But his size, his physicality, his athleticism at his size and fluidness, and their ability to kind of stay to their to their identity, right? I think Rupes was supposed to be a better defender than he has been, and certainly just his strength. He's just not as strong as Sissoko right now, and clearly he is behind Sissoko in the pecking order. I think we definitely know that. That is definitive. We've learned that in preseason just by watching. Also, the other thing we've learned is they're going to play small. They are going to play small. This was probably always going to be an option for them, but as much as they've leaned into it in preseason, it's clear that it's going to be a night one type of thing. I asked Chauncey Billups exactly this on Friday. I said, is this going to be a part of your identity on a night? Can you get away with this? Basically, is this a night to night identity thing? He says, yeah, it's going to be a big part of who we are. I think it protects, it protects you from some minutes that Donovan Clingan can't get on the floor. It's not going to overexpose Hansen. Young Hansen's fun and exciting, but he's going to have some bad nights in the league, because it is a big jump in competition, and he's just young players are inconsistent, right? He's going to have some moments, and he's going to have some struggles. Even in his good game against the Kings, he had a really wonky 2 quarters, and I think he had some up and down moments against the Warriors as well. You kind of need to, and they clearly don't, DUER is not going to be part of the plan. I think he can give you a little bit of different stuff, to give you kind of a different look, but he doesn't really, he's not enough. He hasn't been enough of a quality shooter to say, hey, put him on the court, right? I think his shooting kind of tailed off after a very, very hot start to his career. Although, he's always gives you sort of that optionality, I guess, but he's just not going to play. What they're going to do is they're going to go small. And I kind of like the small ball look. I do. I would love to see it with Toumani there, right? I would love to see small with Drew and Shaden and Jeremy Grant and Toumani and Denny Avdia. They switch everything 1 through 5 with that small ball group, which most small teams do. When you do that, you avoid getting caught in rotations, right? You're just keeping everything in front. So every action you're switching. Sometimes you'll see them switch off ball with that stuff. They trust everybody to guard up. They really, really do. They'll even, I paid attention to this, they switched Shaedon Sharpe onto Al Horford in this game. Horford isn't like this bruising post player, but he's big and strong and smart. And they weren't afraid to do it. That was part of the scheme, right? Drew Holiday can switch up and play just a wide variety of players, right? Like he mentioned in after today's games, like I've played the power forward in some small ball lineups in my time, and like he is kind of like he played more of like a wingy off ball role with the Celtics. He's probably a bit of he's got a little bit of power forward in his bones, but that versatility, along with the versatility that the Jeremy Grant and Denny Avdia and Tumani give you. Plus, when they do play on offense with that group, they play 5 out, and they play 5 out with a more slashing, more spacing. One thing I noticed in this game against the Warriors was that the paint was a lot more open with 5 out than it wasn't. In an obvious way, because Klingon is like kind of clogging the paint with how he is, but it wasn't like they were able to sag off and say, well, hey, you don't have enough non-shooters. They respect enough of some of the threats. That's even with Chris Murray on the court in these lineups. They respect like the somewhat of the sort of perimeter skill threats, and it gave the Blazers more space in the middle. Some teams are going to punish you, and some teams are going to really crush the offensive glass with that group, but it's clear that that's going to be part of who they are, and it makes sense. I think the curious part will be how often they can go to it and how much of a strength it is, but clearly they are going to try it a bunch early in the season. All right, that's the show, y'all. We did it. Come back for more tomorrow. We'll do some player previews. We're going to do them early in the week, but some news came and we flipped them around. So we'll do some player previews. Then on Thursday, the Blazers play the Jazz. We will have you covered on Friday's program for that preseason game. Is what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.